What's up, everybody? Back at it. Sports Counterpoints podcast. It's July 13th, 2022. Just want to start out with a happy birthday to me, July 5th. Brian's is coming up. Happy birthday to you early. I usually don't do that, but hey, why not? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to give yourself a shout out. Thanks for checking us out. Listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, YouTube. We're all over the place. So check us out at Sports Counterpoints. We're everywhere. All of us are on Twitter. You could find us. I'll let them say their tags if they want to. We'll look at that for the end of the show. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about Baker Mayfield going to Carolina. We'll talk about USC and UCLA leaving where they're from to head to the Midwest. We'll talk about Kyrie and Donovan Mitchell, who could be changing zip codes. And also we have some golf with the Open and some other kind of pot shots taken at Live and back and forth. So let's get into it, man. Another episode. Brian, Coop, what's up, guys? Let's dive in.
What's up?
We in, man. Baker Mayfield. Brian, isn't that your boy?
Hell no.
Yeah.
I haven't been a buyer on that dude since college, but definitely not after the draft. When the Browns drafted him, I said, well, that's typical of the Browns.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, just check that off as another quarterback that got right there. Baker Mayfield, man. Seriously,
he won a playoff game. Beat the
did.
Steelers.
So he ended his career at 29-30, and 29 wins, 30 losses. He was one of the worst fourth quarter quarterbacks in the league. He was bottom 3 every year, in the fourth quarter, completion percentage, rating, and all the couple other categories. But here's the thing: Baker Mayfield had pretty much he got a Porsche, man. Cleveland has a squad. I mean, you can't waste that kind of team, man, that kind of offensive line, that kind of weapons, and then go 29-30. Even with Kevin Stefanski, man, that's probably the best coach he had, and he still didn't do that well with him. So I'll give him a pass. But you know what? I don't feel sorry for Baker, and here's why. I don't feel sorry for what he did to Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson gets fired. You know what I'm saying? He goes
That's
over.
Your boy.
Yeah, okay. He goes over to what? The Cincinnati Bengals. Marvin Lewis hires him as a coordinator, and then Baker Mayfield taunts him during the game, man. I didn't like the way that went down. And he spoke on Duke Johnson in his contract. It's just stuff you don't do. He's one of them guys that has to win every single argument and doesn't understand that, you got to be a grown-up to play the quarterback position. It's all about – sometimes it's not about what you say, GB and Brian. It's about what you don't say. And he just said too damn much. So I can go on forever about him, but I'm going to let you have some of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's a especially good teammate. And so seeing him, obviously, we all knew that he was going to get traded or dropped at some point in time. So it's just a matter of time. I think you and I have talked on the podcast a little bit about the interesting decision that they made. There has to be some level of confidence that Deshaun Watson will be able to play part of this year. Or else you would have held Baker Mayfield over for another year because you really have no depth in Cleveland right now. But what's interesting about the trade is that they have Carolina has Sam Darnold, and he's considered the starting quarterback. Now they came out, I think it was today or yesterday, and said that there'll be an open competition and Baker Mayfield will have an opportunity. But Baker Mayfield is going into a situation where he has to win Sam Darnold's job. They also have PJ Walker on that team there too. And I'm being fair to PJ. He wasn't horrible. He's not a starting caliber quarterback, but I also don't think Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield are. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Of course, you got to look at that first game of the season. Carolina's going back to Cleveland to open the season. And so obviously Baker Mayfield's going to have that circled on the calendar, and he's going to want to win that job. But Sam Darnold is likely to be hungry because he is in his contract year, last year of his contract. He wants to get another deal. I don't know if he cares as much. I mean, he needs one more deal in order to get that the longevity package for retirement and beyond. So it's going to be interesting. But no, I agree with you wholeheartedly that what he did to Hugh Jackson was just wrong. And to hear you say it is pretty cool, because I know Hugh is not exactly your favorite person, but that was just, there's lines you don't cross and things you don't say. And he decided he wanted to say them. And I'm glad that you point that out and recognize that there's, that wasn't cool.
Well, Hugh Jackson. It's not like I don't like him personally. I just don't think he's that good of a head coach. Yeah, that's all that was. But but
I
Baker
don't like him as a staff or Russian label.
I don't like his crew. No, but Baker though, I think, to be honest with you, Brian, I think that bridge is burned already in Cleveland. I don't think they would have brought him back. Honestly, I think they would have just rolled with Brissett. But it's interesting. I've heard talk about maybe, because they have $48 million in cap space. I'm hearing talk about maybe Jimmy going there if Deshaun can only play half the season. Probably get him through. I don't know. We'll see. But I think Carolina brought him on to be the starter. I think maybe they're tired of Sam Darnold. But I hope Sam Darnold makes it a real competition and tries to,
Well, the GM, the GM came out and said that, it will have an open competition, but right now it's Sam's job.
Right.
Now, look, all that's posturing at this point in time. We'll all see what's there, but you have to imagine you're going to get a supremely motivated Sam Darnold, because that's what you get in contract years for anybody, any position, anytime. Contract years, especially in the NFL, because the way they make their money is signing bonuses.
All right.
And so, that's the way that I'm sure Sam Darnold is hoping to get that next 3-year extension, with no cap money and all signing bonus.
GB, any thoughts?
Yeah, there's other teams that need quarterbacks, so I think Darnold has a chance. He hasn't been able to prove himself great, but he's shown some flashes that he might be serviceable in the league. And we both know, well, 3 of us know that there's, a top tier quarterbacks, and then there's a bunch of other guys in there that kind of shuffle around and, play here a year, play over here. So I think you still have a shot with some of these other teams. I don't think it makes sense to bring Jimmy G in if Brissett is actually a very serviceable quarterback, has won NFL games and can play well. So I think he can get you through a year versus trying to get Jimmy G for 1 year and have him learn and do all that. Unless, depending on who their backup is after Brissett, that would be the reason you do it. But we'll see. You guys also failed to mention if Baker went 29 and 30, he also had 35 commercials, so he won there.
Yeah, right. He's not gonna have those commercials in Carolina. I tell you that much. That's over.
Yeah. Well, look, the commercials that he's doing is, he just moved homes. I'm sure they can work that into, like, oh, we're moving to the new home,
That's
right?
true.
He does all the home commercials.
That's true.
The only thing I'd point out, though, is that Darnold's numbers are abysmal.
Yeah.
He's a career 70 QBR. If you use the old school QBR, and what is he at?
And he also played with the New York Jets.
33. Yeah, but last year with Carolina, he was a 33.2 QBR guy.
Oh gosh, he played with Carolina. Excuse me. He had such a great.
But that's where he's playing next year.
This is the only defense I can make for Darnold. His numbers were better when Christian McCaffrey were playing. We'll say that. They did do a comparison, and when Christian McCaffrey was playing, his numbers were a lot better. And then when he was gone in there, in the tank.
You got to throw the ball.
That's when Christian McCaffrey lives on IR.
Right.
I don't know that we're going to expect to see that to change this year.
One thing I did not know is that Carolina Panthers owner Tepper is the richest owner in the NFL. $16.7 billion. I didn't know that. I know he's the richest owner.
That's Seattle.
No, I'm talking Paulins is no longer here.
Well, he's dead, but his estate still owns it.
Yeah, it's still
his estate's worth 100 and some odd.
Right, and his sister runs it, but that's an estate. But as far as like a person, whatever.
Yeah.
It was David. I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, oh, wow.
Good and cheesy. Interesting. We speaking of people moving and we're staying in the football realm. I read this and I was really intrigued by this with USC and UCLA leaving the Pac-12, going to the Big Ten, right?
Yeah,
man.
So I think, brilliant, right? Like they get to play. They're going to be, you're playing Ohio State now. You're playing Michigan. Like you got these, you're gonna have these marquee games. I think
I like it
for them.
I like it, but I was shocked though UCLA was included. USC, I can definitely see it because they've been.
You go everywhere together though. Yeah. You can't get rid of your rivalry.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, if Stanford went, so does Berkeley. Oregon went, so does Oregon.
Right. But USC, they've been upset for years. They even talked about just going independent a couple of times. They didn't do it, but they thought about it. They generate most of the revenue for the Pac-12, but yet they have to split it evenly between all the other schools. They didn't like that either. So I guess when I researched this a little bit, they told Lincoln Riley when he came in they were going to swing big and try to make some moves, and it looks like this was the move. I like it because college football has a huge problem. It's a game problem. And Brian, we've discussed the preseason schedule or whatever. It's a joke with these teams that they play in the first 3 or 4 games of the season.
Pac-12 never did that though.
Huh?
Pac-12 used their preseason games to play people like Notre Dame,
Oh,
Ohio State. It's
once a
not,
year,
it's not SEC.
Right. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, exactly. So now, I'm looking forward to seeing the USC, Michigan, USC, Wisconsin, USC, Ohio State, man. So I'm actually looking forward to those.
Minnesota,
even UCLA.
baby.
And the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. That's right. So, you can go watch them at the Coliseum too, at USC. That's right. But or UCLA. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. And I think, I know me and Brian, we're not huge college football authority fans, but I like the shakeup in college football, man, because like I said, we're going to get some better games now. Teams that would usually avoid each other now have to play each other at least once every couple of years or so. And I think it's not over yet. I think more teams are going to split. SEC was talking about probably adding some more teams, and what I eventually think is going to be, it's going to be 2 big super conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC, and then they might just have to fight out for a championship or whatever, and they'll try to include everybody else in some kind of way. But I think we're not done yet. But B, what you think about it? Because you're the one who brought this up first, that it was going to happen.
Yeah, I hate it. So I hate it from a tradition standpoint. USC and UCLA have been in the Pac, 12, 10, 8, since the 20s. So 100 years, just shy of 100 years. So from that standpoint, I hate seeing them go. Now I totally understand it from a business standpoint. And Jason, you're quickly losing any ability to call college sports anything other than another professional league because they're making business decisions.
Yeah,
they do not give a shit about the kids in any way, shape, or form because they're now going to be traveling to the Midwest and the East Coast on a regular basis. So, like I said, that from a tradition standpoint, it makes me disappointed. I totally understand why they would like to share a bigger pie, right? I mean, if you're USC, just as you said, they have been one of the bigger money generators for the Pac-10 and Pac-12. Oregon has also been a huge one. Stanford on occasions, but Oregon has been the other one. And so they're going to get, legacy schools like a Michigan, like an Oregon. It'll be interesting because the one thing that the Big Ten has is every game is for some type of an item. So when you're playing, Ohio State, Michigan play for the Claret Jug or whatever it is. Like the Minnesota plays Wisconsin for like the
Apple Cup or something.
Axe.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
It's like every game has something because that conference was built on these long-term rivalries. So it'll be interesting to see how they fit all that in. The other thing that I hate about it, that I dislike about it is, the NCAA has become completely useless, and that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But what we need to figure out is how are we going to get teams into a real playoff, right? So I've always said, I think it should be an 18 playoff. You take the Power 5 conference winners, no matter what, how many wins or whatever they have, and then you put 3 play-in games. USC and UCLA have just made it significantly more difficult to get into playoff games because Ohio State, Michigan State, you're going to run that gauntlet. And so much is dependent on only having 1 loss, maybe 2. And you just put yourself into a situation where you can be a great team and still have 3 losses, right? You can be a top of the line USC team and still lose to Michigan, Ohio State, maybe a USC or Wisconsin, depending on the year. And it just happens to be that they're all really good. They're going to have to figure out how they're going to split that up too, right? So they're going to probably have to split that up West and East. And if USC, UCLA end up in the same division or portion of the Big Ten as Ohio State and Michigan, and they have a conference title, they could ultimately end up limiting their ability to get into the playoffs, depending on what the format is. Whereas, if you have a really top-notch USC team, All you had to do was not shit the bed against Stanford, and you were pretty much going to a playoff game. Or Oregon could be good. Either way, there were ways to get in against Utah, Oregon, Stanford, and UCLA. It could be significantly harder, and they're banking on losing the West Coast bias. And I don't know that you do that. I mean, sure, they're going to have a whole bunch of 10 a.m. games, but they're also going to have a lot of night games because USC home games are always going to be 7 p.m. starts. And so I don't know that they're actually going to watch it. So we'll have to see. But I'm going to miss the Pac-12, which is going to become quickly irrelevant, if not disappear.
Yeah.
Because USC and Oregon and Stanford and UCLA, I grew up with that. We grew up with that. I always like watching the late night games. Hold on, sneezing. Excuse me. I've always liked watching that 7 p.m. Pac-12 game with UCLA. I understand that it's unpopular on the East Coast. I understand that it puts them in a disadvantaged position. I'm just talking as a fan. I liked having that game.
Yeah, I hear you on that. But the Pac-12, though, I mean, in basketball and football, it's always been rated the number 5 out of the power conferences. So I guess they're kind of just trying to change. I don't know.
Well, it all depends. There's been plenty of times. The SEC bias is just through the roof.
Well, yeah.
Right? So
that's going to be
in football,
there.
it's SEC.
Yeah.
They can go play the barbershop college over in Hoboken, New Jersey. And people are like, oh, they just won. They're such a wonderful team. And then in basketball, it's the ACC and everybody else.
Yeah. So I like, but see, I also thought the same thing about the college football playoffs because it made the bowls irrelevant. Because my favorite bowl game was the Rose Bowl. I've seen so many good Rose Bowl games, and now it's just irrelevant now. So the best Rose Bowl game I ever saw was USC and Texas. I mean, I think that's probably everybody. A lot of people.
I went to it.
Definitely.
I was in the end zone,
man,
and at that game, I was yelling, "He's going to run this way!" Everyone in the damn student section could see it and knew it. And
I remember watching that game thinking that Vince Young is not going to pass this ball. He's not. He's been running all game. He was going to run, and he ran. So he was definitely not thinking about passing. But yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I think we're not done. I think Notre Dame is going to eventually join the Big Ten due to money because they were saying that they're losing. They're leaving money on the table. And then it's all about, like you said, it's about money. They're leaving money on the table by staying independent. They said in about 3 years they'll be joining the Big Ten. And so I'm not a big Notre Dame fan.
They better be careful because they might get on the outside looking in. Like the Big Ten might get to a point where they don't need Notre Dame. And Notre Dame can come knocking and saying, oh, we want in. And they're like, yeah, but you all ain't what you used to be. I mean, their value is to be an opponent against a Michigan. And they're not able to recruit the same way that they were able to recruit 15, 20 years ago. They're not, there's a longer gap between when they're really good and bowl eligible or championship quality team. And they've enjoyed being able to act like they're better than everybody else for a really long time. And they may very well be the team that gets caught standing when the music stops.
Really?
They may not.
I think they join. But do you know who?
I think they'll try, but they better do it. They better do it within the next year. If they wait 2-3 years,
they were saying
after it becomes obvious, they're going to end up in the ACC.
Because I think that's when USC joins, like another couple of years or so, in 2024.
But they got to announce their intentions, pretty immediately. Because they were talking about this is how snobbish they've become. They were talking about joining the Big Ten for football and the ACC for basketball.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we want the best over here. We want the best over here.
Right.
Like, yeah, but you guys have Stanford recruiting problems.
Yeah.
Right. It's not easy to get kids eligible over there, although they're more flexible than Stanford.
I hear you on that. But right now, as of this moment, they have the number 1 recruiting class in football for next year. Surprisingly, I'm not saying it's going to stay that way. They have the number 1 class, Notre Dame. That's the only reason I know because Miami moved up to number 7.
Football?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. GB, any thoughts on this, on USC, UCLA?
I'm looking.
I think it's cool, man. I mean, you got the Big 12 now, right? So it's going to be interesting. If you're USC and UCLA, now you get, like y'all said, Ohio State, you get Michigan, you get new chances to have primetime games against these top opponents versus all of us just watching them on the West Coast. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just going to depend on how they can recruit and who the players are, right? Because if you're not good, it's not going to matter anyway. But I think it's, anytime you get a shuffle like that, it's curious to me. I'm always interested to see how it plays out. So I definitely will check it out. Not like I watch a ton of college football, but I'll definitely watch, SC play Ohio State or, play Michigan just to kind of, see how it looks.
I watch
Wisconsin,
SC
yeah.
because they're SC.
Yeah.
Jason, I think it's funny. I was looking up the ranking classes. There's only one organization that ranks Notre Dame first, and it's the one you say you never look at. ESPN.
Oh,
Like
really?
all the rest of them,
Oh, no.
rivals,
Oh, no.
and all the rest of them.
So I just looked it up right
down the
now.
list.
It looks like they got overtook, and now they're number 2. But yeah,
Yeah.
they Ohio State is number 1 now. I'm just saying because Miami moved up to number 7 after getting a commitment. So, but yeah, I got you.
But
Okay.
well, the one good point to that is that for Notre Dame is they've got super deep NIL pockets.
Yeah.
Super deep. And the loyalty to Notre Dame may be unmatched when it comes to alumni.
Oh, yeah. And
When
they have
people
fans
are
all around the
alumni
country.
of Notre Dame, they make sure everybody knows.
Yeah.
And they get, and it's legacy money and their kids go there. And, it's so there is that in a new world where NIL dollars are a big deal. Maybe Notre Dame can make a comeback, and SC's going to fall.
That's why Texas are players and Texas A&M because NIL money. The people in Texas got deep pockets, and so
Texas A&M has one really really deep pocket.
Right. Well, yeah. Right. Yeah, it's very deep.
T-Boone.
No. T-Boone is Oklahoma State.
Oh, got it.
He got deep pockets too. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. I just any chance I get to say that. But yeah. Okay.
T-Boone Pickens.
Yeah, that does sound like man.
Right.
Anyway,
exactly.
man. Yeah. So I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, any kind of shakeup I think is always interesting. So we'll see how it plays out for them, and then kind of transitioning. Speaking of more, people on the move and teams getting shaken up. Kyrie, and then Donovan Mitchell, right? So Kyrie signs his deal to stay, right? He opts in for his contract with the Nets. And then now I'm seeing, as I'm reading all this Donovan Mitchell talk, possibly to the Nets, possibly to the Knicks. People are talking, trying to get him. So, what are you guys kind of thinking about those two? There's some other guys that are kind of potentially on the move as well.
Well, I'll start with Kyrie real quick, and we just bounce off of there. So Kyrie, he has no market. Let's just say that. Only team that wants him is the Lakers, and it's a mutual desperation relationship. The Lakers are desperate. Kyrie is desperate. I think it works and it will get done. Mark Stein, Rick Bucher, a few of them reported that Kyrie is not leaving LA until a deal gets done. He's in LA at this moment, been here for a couple of weeks. The Lakers can say what they want about Russell Westbrook. He will be on the move and thankfully not in a Laker uniform. But Kyrie has only proven to work with LeBron. It was a very short time, but he did work with LeBron. Looks like LeBron is the only one who has the ego or whatever cachet or whatever you want to call it to manage Kyrie. So Kyrie wants another big contract. So I think we might get the best Kyrie possible, meaning he might play 50 games instead of 23. But Brian, what you think about the move?
Well, it hasn't happened yet, and I'm still hoping it won't. But I agree with you on it. Seems very apparent that they want that deal to get done. I only hope that the Lakers realize that they're bidding against themselves and don't give up too many of the draft picks. When you do a trade of your problem versus my problem, which is exactly what this is. We're going to give our problem of Westbrook to their problem of Kyrie. You got to recognize that there's no leverage on one side or the other. The reason for putting any kind of picks in there is because I believe Westbrook makes more than Kyrie. And so there's got to be some of that. But, I'm not a Kyrie fan. I know he's supremely talented, but his locker room presence can destroy anything. It'll be interesting to see how he takes being the third fiddle, because LeBron has long since said that we need to run our offense through AD, with me as the facilitator, LeBron being the facilitator. So it was always kind of a 1A, 1B on the offense. Kyrie doesn't operate in that way. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons he had so many problems last year was that it became KD, then Harden, and it's no surprise that Harden got chipped. But anyways, I agree with you that it seems like it's destined to happen. I'm still hopeful it won't. I see so many other better fit players as the next options if Kyrie option fails, that are players that would be great third guys in whatever you want to call it, super team, triumvirate, whatever, than Kyrie. I do agree, though, that there's only one time that it all worked right, and that's with LeBron. So maybe they'll capture it, and maybe Kyrie will be looking for a redemption opportunity. But he has shown nothing, no hint that he gets how toxic he was for that team over the last few years, or Boston before it. He has never shown any hint that he understands that was his fault. He's never walked up to the mic and said, "Hey, my bad." He has said, "My lack of time on the court has cost the team games," but that to me sounds like the egotistical way of saying my presence would have helped us win, not my unwillingness to do what it takes to help my team cost us games. And there's a difference. Coop, you're muted. Yeah, but there's a difference.
Yeah, I agree. The only time he ever took publicly and privately is when he told LeBron he messed up. He messed up their little time in Cleveland. That's the only one. But I agree. Boston, no accountability. Brooklyn, none. And Cleveland, and even when LeBron wasn't there or left or whatever, he didn't took no accountability. I mean, they were winning like 20 or 19 games, doing his own thing. So yeah, I get it. But we'll see.
So do you feel like if they get so there's all these new super teams, right? There's the super team in LA with Paul, Kawhi, and Wall. There's whatever we want to call what's going on in the Warriors. There's a really, really solid effort being made by Boston, whether it works out or not, to keep adding bullets to that gun. There's efforts again by the 76ers, and I think Milwaukee's kind of standing pat and saying, "Hey, we got a great team. We just need to be healthy." But where do you think they go to on the list if they get Kyrie?
I don't make them the favorites, but the difference, Brian? The difference between having Kyrie and Russell Westbrook is you can talk yourself into the Lakers probably going to the finals. You can't talk yourself with Russell Westbrook. So I still think they're behind the Warriors. I still think that because the Warriors just are a cohesive unit and been doing this for a minute. I can definitively put them behind the Warriors and behind Milwaukee still, because I still think if Milwaukee's healthy, we might have a chance. I'm not saying they can't be beat, but I'd rather go with Milwaukee healthy. But Boston is deep, and I think Boston is deeper than the Lakers too. So you kind of have to put Boston ahead of the Lakers as well too, because they have a bunch of deep veterans, and the Lakers they'll have these three guys and a bunch of young guys that they just signed. So I would have to put Boston in. If top five, they'll have to be fifth. Maybe fourth.
Well, because you've listed off 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, so I'm at fourth or fifth. What about you?
Yeah. The other thing is that look, New York Nets are Brooklyn Nets. They're blowing up a team, right? They're pretty. They seem like they're trying to wait on the Kyrie stuff until they figure out what they're going to do with KD. So I figure, if they find a deal for KD, it won't be long after that they figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
The Lakers need to make sure that they don't give up players that they need to fill out their bench. And I'm saying this specifically about an Austin Reeves guy, who was a great piece. He's not top 4. He's not even a starter. But he's an important piece to a team. You need to have a two-way player. You need to have more of that depth. And Toscana he can play. Pippen Jr. looks very, very good in
Summer League.
But you need to keep those players. So if you're giving them all these damn draft picks and they're getting all this stuff from there and there, they're not going to be able to use an Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves isn't the difference for the Nets after they get rid of KD and Kyrie in making the playoffs or not making the playoffs. And he's not going to be a difference maker over the next 3 years on that team, because he's not that good. But he's good enough to be an important player or an important rotation guy on a old playoff team that needs young guys who can come in and play at a higher level. And they just got to figure out recognize, and this is my big point going back to it, they got to recognize that they don't have to give up everything in a trade for your problem for my problem, right?
Yeah.
Like the Nets need to get rid of Kyrie as much as we need to get him.
Right.
So one last question for you, Coop. If they get Kyrie, do you take that big red sign that you put up that said there's no way that they can do anything with Westbrook because Westbrook is gone?
Yeah, I take that. I take that away. Yeah, definitely, because I think this team can win. I'm not saying they are or they will. I mean, Anthony Davis is all of a sudden.
You like Kyrie?
I like Kyrie as a
Talent-wise.
talent. Yeah, as a talent. He averaged 27 a game. Like, I mean, he is great as a talent, but upstairs, we'll see. We'll see. But speaking of guys that's talented, KD. Brooklyn is stupid. They think somebody's giving up 4 or 5 first rounders and 2 all-stars. That whole Gobert
For
thing.
a year of KD.
Yeah. That whole Rudy Gobert thing done messed up the market because now Brooklyn thinks they're getting, 2. They talking about they want 2 all-stars and a couple players. I'm like, who had 2 all-stars?
Doesn't Rudy have 3 years or on his deal? Like he just signed he's got, I think, several years. Whereas I don't think KD only has like
4
2 years.
No, he has 4. It's a 4-year deal
4.
and 197
without
million.
opt-ins or
4, I don't know if
it's
opt-in. I don't know if it's opt-in now. They just said 4 years and about 196 million left on his deal. So I don't know. I don't know. GB, what do you do, man? Do you trade a star player for KD? Because remember, he's about to be 34 this summer.
It's
4. You only do it if he's going to be you do it if it's like the Kawhi when he went to the Raptors, right? You can get it for 1 year and you win a championship. Only way you can make it make sense. And then
but that's the difference, right? So
if you're the Suns or something, right? And you can get them and you can win a championship, you've never won one, boom, cool. Whatever happens after this is cool. We have the ring. But if you're not going to try and build it. I don't know if they're trying to build around him. Like,
but how do the Suns do that deal without gutting the team?
Yeah.
No, you do, but you just hope that you hope that you have enough GM talent to say, I can partner, in that instance, right? I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I can partner Booker and KD, and I have, I don't know,
5 guys from the basketball court down the street.
Or you could say, hey, veteran guy, why don't you do what we've done for years and come play with KD and Booker, and KD may be able to recruit a guy or two, Booker may be able to recruit a guy or two, and then you just have to draft. Like you have to understand what you're doing if you have picks left to be able to look at the waiver wires, look at the G League, and get guys on that are talented that aren't going to cost you a bunch. That's what the Warriors have been great at. They have the homegrown, so they have their players signed, but all the guys they bring in, all these, when they bring a guy in, he has an immediate impact. So you have to do that too. I don't know that they have those skills, but that's the only way it can work. And you have to win a championship now if you do it.
I don't know. They'll have the veterans exceptions and all that, and they'll be able to get minimum players. But I think it's like outside of they'll have 4 guys. They'll have Devin Booker, Chris Paul, JaVale McGee, who just signed another one and can't be traded until after December or whatever it is.
Okay.
And then KD. Everyone else is gone. I don't know. I get it. I can see why if you're Phoenix, hell yeah, you're going to give that a shot. You're going to throw those dice and see what happens.
You got it. You were close. You couldn't do it. Like, we need to get over. And I get the point of, you needed other guys. They needed other guys anyway. So at least you can add KD in the mix.
Because think about KD, man.
Just in that case, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where you can actually go because, to your point, Coop, you have to have a trade partner. It's not an automatic that they can. Are you willing to give up your whole team and the future for a year or two of KD?
Every time I think about that team giving up everybody is when Carmelo forced his way out of New York, went to Denver, and Denver had all the bench players in New York. Had he just waited till the season was over, he could have had all them bench players, but that was a bad move. But here's the thing about KD. I was thinking about this. The only time he really worked for a title is when he was with the Warriors because they had leadership, and that guy was Curry. He didn't work in Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook because he couldn't stand up to him. Now, of course, he eventually left Warriors, couldn't stand up to Draymond Green either. But now he wants to get out of Brooklyn, and it's just like he can't be the focal point. Somebody else has to be the leader. He just has to come to work and score. You can't ask KD to do a whole bunch of stuff because then that's not going to work out. He cannot be the leader of a team, and that's what Brooklyn found out.
If they were able to bring Mitchell in and make that their 3, you keep KD there, talk him in the stand, bring Mitchell in, have that 3.
But you still have no leader. But you have no leader. KD is not a leader.
You got Booker. those guys are mirror images of each other.
Got you.
Yeah. I mean, I think he kind of works in Phoenix, but like Brian said, like you and Brian said, if you gut the bench,
Well, you got
it's
Chris
not going
Paul
to work.
then.
Chris Paul is the leader, right? But
Right.
you got to gut
And
the
he's
bench,
got a huge "We love you, Chris Paul" contract, right? They basically said, "You did right by us. We're going to give you a truckload of money that there's no way he can play well enough to earn, at 120 million in 3 years. He ain't a $40 million a year player." I don't know. The team that I think is more likely, just because it works mathematically, is the Raptors.
I don't think he'll go there though, only because of taxes and pluses. They're just the Raptors. I don't think there's anything there.
That's the rumor is that's where he wanted to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he wanted to win the title. I don't see him going back to the Warriors.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But mathematically, he can. It's easier to if the goal is to win a title, Toronto is better than Phoenix. Just from a mathematical standpoint, they have more cap space. They have more young talent. They have the GM there has done a really, really good job in stocking those cupboards.
Yeah.
And if it's a money thing, then yeah, you're obviously going to go to Phoenix and Arizona where you have less state taxes and things of that nature. Remembering though that it's not as a big a deal in pro sports as it used to be, because you pay taxes by how many games you play in the state.
Yeah.
So you want a home place that has more. Toronto's high. Toronto's almost as high as Los Angeles,
right,
or California. But if you want to win, the pieces seem to fit better in Toronto than Phoenix from a winning standpoint, not a money standpoint.
Right. And here's my last point on that. He's going to be 38 by the end of that deal. So you probably only get in the first 2 years. 37, 38, it's going downhill. So you're going to have to win now if you got
really
KD.
Good.
He is good, but he also gets injured, and that's very underrated about KD. He gets injured a lot. I mean, he gets hurt. He got hurt with the Warriors too. People just don't talk about it, but he got hurt. So,
but not in the playoffs.
No, he got in Toronto. He didn't play. Remember, he got hurt.
Well, he had the big injury.
Yeah, right. But the playoffs before, he didn't.
Yeah, and they didn't
historically, playoffs. He's been around.
They didn't have to worry about it this year because it was only 4 games long. So he didn't have a chance. What about Mitchell? Do you guys see not much conversation about him? Like he's not as big of a draw as you'd think.
Yeah, I've said this before. I really like Donovan Mitchell as a player. I like him a hell of a lot more than I like Trae Young and Luka and Ja Morant. And I think the reason that when people aren't talking about him as much, it also became only obvious in the last couple of days that Utah was even willing to trade him, is because he's not that loud guy. I think that he is absolutely the kind of guy that you can add to a team who comes in and finds a way to fit in and play some really good basketball. Even when he was going toe-to-toe with Rudy Gobert, you didn't hear about it during the season. You heard about it during the offseason. You heard it as it related to COVID. After the season was over, you heard it started to come back up. But during the season, he shut up and played basketball. And I don't know where he's going to go, but I think that's a hell of a piece that you can add to a team. And his numbers are more reasonable than the others. He's 5 years, 163. Whereas
I'm hearing Nets. I'm hearing Nets. I'm hearing Knicks.
Yeah. So when I text you guys a couple weeks ago about Donovan Mitchell, I said I want to see him in Miami. As I'm in the gym on the bench press putting up my 225, I'll look up ESPN. They have a hypothetical trade with Miami to get Donovan Mitchell. So I would like to see Donovan Mitchell play with Jimmy Butler because I think that works, and I think that gives Jimmy Butler some help. But he will have to
play defense. Those guys go to work, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I think they'll bring it, but he will have to play defense, but I don't think that'll be a problem. I think he'll be motivated, and I would like to see him in Miami. Now, I think he fits there. You might think he fits another place, but I definitely think he fits in Miami. Definitely. I don't like Tyler Hero. I just don't think he's that good. So trading him is a bonus.
Yeah, there's no possible way that we're comparing Tyler Hero to.
No, right. But he was involved in the trade.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he fits there or if it works out. I don't know if he's a Riley type guy, but Donovan Mitchell just seems to me like the best guy that's worth taking a risk. He's not going to blow up your locker room to the best of our ability. And some might say, well, he did with Gobert. Gobert is a knucklehead. Gobert blew that locker room up, not Mitchell. Mitchell just was the team leader who acknowledged it. But anyways, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. And if that does happen, I like a Jimmy Butler team. I just think that guy is he's a gamer, right? It's hard to not root for him.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler don't score 40 in the regular season, but he does multiple times in the playoffs. That he be balling.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think about John Wall joining the Clippers? Because I just thought it was just pretty much nothing to me. He ain't played in like 2 years.
So the word was that he was practicing with the team and that he was just giving it to him all the time. Like that was the only thing he could do because they didn't want to play him because they had younger guys and he didn't want to come off the bench. But that he was doing it to make a point, a la Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. When he was going into practice and just eating people up. I don't necessarily think it works. I mean, look, the Clippers find ways to mess everything up. I don't think the Clippers are going to all of a sudden become a top 5 team, as you were just talking about with your list. Like they're not in. I don't think they're in that group. Could they win the West? Or sorry, the Pacific Conference division? Yeah, I think they could. Those guys will all be hungry. They all have contract years, I think, or at least 2 of them have contract years, so they're going to want to play hard. But I just don't think I don't think it moves the needle enough.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any like when you go to the Clippers, right? Based on historics, you have you get the shine of LA, right? Obviously, the Lakers are a Los Angeles team, but you still get to be in LA. You get the shine of Los Angeles. Say it again.
The Los Angeles team.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No, I know, and hey man, pops from LA. Like I've been a Laker fan my whole life, but I think you get the shine of LA because you're there. You get, John Wall's a highly noticeable guy, so he gets to live and gallivant in LA and do his thing. You're gonna get all that. You're gonna have a new stadium, and the pressure is, in my opinion, not really any because you never won anything. So you just play. If you get to the finals, that's the best season a team's ever had. If you go to the playoffs, that's a good season. You know what I mean? You win a division banner, that's a good season. So to me, it's
and
a
the
perfect
Clippers
situation.
Celebrate that, unlike the Lakers and most other teams. They celebrate winning Pacific Division.
Glenn, so if they make the Western Conference Finals, that's the best season that they ever had.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you can, I mean, it'd be tough, right? But your expectations are lower. New stadium coming. Like to me, it's a smart fit. I don't know. I don't know what the team's going to do because, like you said, they always seem, in my opinion, they've always made a way to mess it up. They just can't figure it out. Plus, the West is hard. Like, take out their own implosions. Like, the West isn't easy. You still got teams you got to beat. So, I mean, we'll see. But I think for John Wall, it's great.
We didn't talk about it specifically. Minnesota's going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, they were close.
Cat and Gobert are not. That's as intimidating a front line as there's ever been.
And the boy,
with 2 players at their prime.
Yeah, Bennett was hooping too. Like,
he's an ascending player. He's definitely an ascending player.
He showed out in the playoffs. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, he definitely came out. So yeah, I agree. Like, it's
I
not
can definitely see him
road.
getting better. I like him.
Sure.
I can see him getting better. And Minnesota loves him, and he loves Minnesota. But Brooklyn wanted him, Cat, and 3 first-round picks for.
Come on, man.
I wouldn't even take. I would have hung up the phone. I wouldn't even say bye.
I would let him hear me laugh first.
But like, you knew he wasn't. You knew he wasn't going there.
Speaker real quick.
Closed mouths don't get fed. You knew he wasn't going there. So I'd have said, I want everything and, season tickets and a ride to the airport every day. Like, come on. They're not going. He wasn't going there. But yeah.
One last guy I've talked about, Jalen Brunson. He got paid by the Knicks. Dallas was not. Cuban was not paying the guy. Though. He was not paying a guy who don't play no defense and thinks he's a free.
He wasn't hooping it. Yeah, he wasn't hooping like this.
Yeah, he wasn't hooping like that.
Yeah. Well, this is how the league is now.
Jalen Brunson thinks he's an elite level scorer. That's what he thinks. And he's going to New York. He about to take some shots from your boy Randall. He's going to be shooting that last shot now.
It's so much easier to score. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him because I'm not a Luka fan. But it's so much easier to score as the second guy.
Yeah.
When everyone spends that time in the locker room or in the film room or game planning for someone other than you, it is so much easier, right? When Lakers were talking about Dallas, they weren't talking about how do we shut down Jalen Brunson.
Right.
They were trying to say, how do we contain Luka? It's just easier. And for the amount of time that people will spend when they try to game plan for the Knicks, other than my main man over there, it's going to be a different ball game when when the defenses come and fade to him and move to him. Julius Randle just got super lucky because he's not demonstrably better than Jalen Brunson, and he gets to be the number 2 guy. And I think Randle actually will flourish in that spot.
Yeah.
Well, they're talking about trying to get Mitchell too. So they're trying to get Mitchell too. So you do that, then now he becomes a second option anyway.
I think Mitchell's actually from New York. Maybe, I'm not sure. He's from so hey, who knows? But it's the Knicks, so they'll match up eventually. But yeah, I think that's all the players.
The Clippers.
Yeah,
you're gonna get a Knicks versus the Clippers NBA Finals.
Wow.
I don't know. I'd root for the hot dog man.
Crazy.
I want Dodger dogs. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Y'all, I don't know any other players worth talking about besides them. I'm just happy that Westbrook will finally be gone. So
everyone else kind of stayed. Bradley Beal signed his deal to stay, and feel
that dude's getting paid.
Harden staying, like feel the guys are staying. So cool. Well, yeah, that's NBA.
Well, hold on. Wait. Let me give a shout out to Damian Lillard real quick because he getting paid too. He about to have $120 million more for 2 years. So I just got to give a shout out to him because I know a couple folks
from the town. So, from the town. And he got Gary Payton II now too. So they really gonna ball out.
Yeah, same agent. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. But yeah, so from there we'll switch from hoops and we'll jump across the pond, go across the ocean over to the Open is playing in Ireland. So I don't know if you've been paying any attention to a Coop starting soon because they're obviously at a different time zone. But one of those, historic golf courses, Tiger Woods said he was making sure he was going to be there for the 150th playing of the Open. You got all the legends out there hanging out, man. It's cool seeing Tiger and talking to John Daly and talking to Rory and talking to all these guys. So, what are you guys thinking about it?
Bill, go ahead.
So the Open used to be one of my favorite tournaments because it used to be on the week of my birthday. And so I used to always love watching it late at night while I'm, hanging out at night. But getting prime time, outstanding golf in the middle of the night is obviously rare for us in the United States. So I love watching this tournament. That it's going to be back at St. Andrews where Tiger has won twice. And Tiger has cleared his schedule for the last couple months to try and make make some effort to play well in this tournament, and has walked 54 holes before he plays 72 holes. I think it just makes it all really intriguing and exciting. Obviously, it's also interesting because the LIV golfers have been completely shut out of festivities. The players have been welcomed in, but Gary Player got shut out of being recognized at the dinner that comes for previous winners. He got pushed aside. The R&A, which is the committee that sets up the Open, said that they think that the LIV golf is just giving a bad name to golf and tournament golf. I agree, but it's interesting to hear them say it because it's not PGA. So I'm super excited about this tournament. I always get a little excited about this tournament. Also, it is one of the few times where you see links golf on television. And for those of us who golf, links golf and your standard uni track, it might as well be a different game. It is a completely different. The fairways are hard and brown, and balls bounce all over the place. And the greens are as fast as you could possibly. It's like putting on glass. It's the things that you need to be good at to play well on a links golf tournament, a golf course, and the things that you need to be good at to play at some of these other really great, Augusta, by example, completely different. I hate to say it, but this is a type of golf course where a Bryson DeChambeau could shine, because if you can hit it far, you can drive greens that you wouldn't otherwise expect to be driven. But I'm excited about this. I'm kind of rooting for Rory a lot these days because he's had the strongest stance, him and Justin Thomas, and in opposition in the LIV golf.
He's playing really good golf too.
And he's playing exactly that, Clint. He's playing so well. So I'm kind of rooting for him. I'm obviously rooting for Tiger. And I don't know when it exactly solidified in my mind, but I now have created a PGA golf versus live golfers for majors. That's the only time they're going to really play with each other. And I, like Rory said, that he somewhat selfishly hopes that live golfers never win. I kind of feel that way.
Yeah, I'm watching because I always watch when Tiger plays, so I'm all in on the U.S. Open. GB,
You
what's
have
your
to stay
thoughts
up
on
late,
this?
man.
Huh?
Yeah,
You have to stay up late.
Yep.
The first
Yeah.
they tee off for the first at 10:30. It goes
Yeah.
from 10:30 to like 5 or 6:30
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
yeah. I'll have it. My YouTube TV will record it, but I mean, I'm probably gonna take the field against Tiger just because of him trying to come back, and this course is gonna be crazy. I'd love to see him win. He actually plays better when people are doubting him, so it's not a real doubt. It's just a hope he plays well. But you got some legends out there. It's gonna be fun to watch for sure. This kind of golf, the best golfers in the world against a course like this, you gotta love it. I mean, the bunkers are 7 feet deep. The fairways, like Brian said, are hard. It's bouncing off. The rough is the roughest. Like you hit it in there, it's gone. So it's really, really, really interesting golf. Even if you're not into golf, I think these kind of tournaments are ones that are because you're gonna see them do what we do.
It's fun to watch them struggle a little bit.
They're gonna struggle, right? So it's interesting to see these amazing golfers, deal with the elements, deal with the course, and then still shine. So I'm excited about it for sure. I'll be in Vegas actually, so hopefully get to maybe sit in a sports book for a little bit of time in between some festivities we're doing out there to watch some
You'll
of
be
it.
keeping those hours.
Yeah,
the 10
pretty
to
much.
10 to 4 or 5 a.m. You'll be keeping the same hours.
Pretty much. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about it.
Coop, one thing that's been kind of an interesting storyline is there's a lot of money in Vegas and other books behind Tiger. It's been interesting to see a lot of sharp money, not crowd money, but sharp money going behind Tiger. I find that those Vegas folks seem to understand things pretty well, and they look into it. So it gives me some confidence that he's going to
play well,
make the cut, be able to play on Sunday. And if he's anywhere near the top group, the intimidation of hearing a Tiger roar when you're trying to win a major is unparalleled. And Shoffley, who is playing outstanding golf in his own right, has never had to deal with that.
Yeah, real.
Thomas said it was intimidating playing with Charlie and Tiger and hearing those Tiger roars,
right?
Let alone trying to come down the back nine in an Open.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Tiger took a couple of. They asked him about live golf and what he thought, and he took a couple of shots too. So I mean, he said he didn't understand it. I'm paraphrasing. I was just saying, you give guys this much money up front. What's the motivation to practice? What's the motivation to grind and get out the dirt? You're just, it's
I don't believe
bastardizing the game.
I don't believe that because Tom Brady has a lot of money and he has motivation. I think Mahomes has a lot of money. He has motivation. I think Jordan had a lot of money. He was like making 30 million.
Wait a minute. You said Mahomes. How's he done since his new contract got paid?
I still think he's motivated to win. I don't think he wants to go out like a little. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. He's not like an Eric Dampier to me. I just don't see it from him.
Yeah. I actually wholeheartedly agree with it because you just mentioned two transcendent players. Now, Holmes is trying to become a transcendent player, and Brady is a transcendent player, and he's got FU money no matter what because his wife's already a billionaire. But Brady does that because the number of people go down that quarterback list, and you get out of the group of people, and you got to remember these live golfers, they aren't Tigers and Justin Thomas because they aren't the transcendent players. They are the next tier. They are the Sam Darnolds.
I think,
and they pretty much have echoed these statements too, Coop. Like these guys are saying, "Well, I came over here for the money, so I could play less golf."
True. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get that,
Perez, but he don't give two. I mean, he is flaunting the fact that it's for the money.
Right, but Tiger and Rory played only in the big money tournaments too when they were making money too. So to Rory, I think. Yeah, he did. Tiger only made like 8 tournaments. Another year he only played 10.
He had just got finished with 3 knee surgeries. And
no.
When he was playing,
go look up Rory. Go look it up. When he started winning.
I'll take any bet. Tiger played when he was at his prime. Played one of the busiest tournament schedules to the point where he was playing tournaments that it didn't make sense. Like the Vallejo tournament before Augusta, he was one of the few superstars that was willing to play that. No way. Rory did it too. And as they got older, Rory's on the second half of his career too, and Tiger got there in the second half of his career. Those guys have gone way off, and they're playing more for. It's not I don't want to say it's big money tournaments, but they're playing because they want to play in those tournaments. But that's what they've earned the right to do that after a full career of grinding. It's not JT Poston who is in the beginnings of his career trying to do that, or Thagala or Tony Finau. Those guys are playing pretty much every weekend.
Yeah, Tiger's played 370 events.
And won 82,
yeah,
right?
And some years, right, Coop, like he played 8, 9, 10, whatever. But I think
all
those are
injury shortened though.
Yeah, the later years.
Before he got hurt, he played a very, very hectic schedule.
Okay, what about Rory? We'll look up Rory McIlroy because he wasn't
do the
playing
same for Rory.
Once
Until
he started
Rory
winning,
had his back issues. It's the last 3 years. Before that, Rory played a full schedule.
Yeah, but I think, even with that, Coop, like.
In fact, in Rory's defense, Rory still played European Tour tournaments because he felt some obligation to do that while playing a PGA schedule. So make sure if you're looking it up, you look at that. For the beginning of his career, when he first blew up, he was still playing tournaments. There's no money in European Tour, even if you're great, and he was still doing European Tour tournaments.
He played amateur too.
Yeah, I still think it has more to do with internal drive. Some people just have drive, some don't.
I'll give you that.
I don't think money will be I don't think. Well, no, I'm not saying money is not the driving force for a lot of these people. I'm not saying that at all, and they're still all going to be motivated.
None of these live golfers have that drive, man.
Yeah. Okay, I can believe that, but I don't think just because somebody has money doesn't mean they're going to not be driven.
No, we agree with that. We're speaking specifically to the live golfers and to Tiger's comments in these cases. And hey, again, I'm not mad at you at all. Get your paper, because you didn't have a chance of making this money. Let's keep it real. None of them guys were going to make this money on the tour. It wasn't going to happen for all these guys you mentioned. Brian, we talked about it. Brian mentioned it like last week. A couple of guys could have got there with endorsements and this and that, but they were not going to make this on average. So you had to grab that bull by the horns while you had it. But to Tiger's point, you're only playing 8. Are you grinding it out during the year to try and be the winner at those 8 tournaments? Or are you, playing some week, you playing like we did play? You know what I'm saying? I'll play Saturday, Sunday. I'll play, you know what I mean? Are you at the range? Are you putting? Are you just going crazy with the golf? Or is it, I'm good enough.
Is casual golf for lots and lots and lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
And there's, DJ is a transcendent talent.
Dustin Johnson.
But he's never been about the grind.
Yeah.
Even in he's never. So seeing him move over was not
expected.
It was not unexpected. And Pat Perez is there because somebody gave him a bus pass.
He got his bread. He had the dollar bill shirt when he came on the thing. Phil Mickelson was at the end. Phil Mickelson's golf legend, but he's at the end. How
he can't compete in PGA tournaments. When's the last time he won an actual PGA?
Yeah, he can't.
He won the Open a few years ago.
It's a lot to play at that age.
He was. For Phil, it was a choice between live golf and the senior tour.
Mm-hmm.
And those people who are playing the senior tour, they're playing for the love of golf.
Yeah.
And they make good money. And
it's fun to see the legends, but yeah.
But But the reality of it is that those guys, they're not Tom Brady. They're not those types of transcendent talent. And it'll be interesting at some point in time, like we had with the AFL and football, or USFL and football. They're gonna find some way to get one of these young transcendent talents in college to go over there. But I guess the question will be, will they develop, and will anyone notice? They're he's a good live golf.
That's it. If you even know, because it's hard to watch the tournaments. I tried to watch a little bit of it last time, and I was trying to find it on YouTube, and then like the stream I had like a big live golf sign over it, so I had to keep searching. Like it wasn't as easy as it should have been for if they're caring about that. But yeah, so opens this week. I'm excited about that. This will be the first weekend in a while I haven't played golf, so my retirement's ended. It's been fun to be out there. So Yeah, man. So yeah, that's our show pretty much. I appreciate you guys every week for doing this, man, and having me be a part of it, being
Fun.
the host. Always a good
Yes, it's
time.
fun. Definitely
Been doing
fun.
this like four plus years now, so been really great to do. So we're at our last segment. Call us the minute to win it. A chance to kind of speak uninterrupted for a minute or so about any topic of your choosing. So um, either one of y'all can jump in.
Man, I'll go first.
Right.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Mario Cristobal, new coach of the Miami Hurricanes. For the first time in 2 decades, probably 20, 21 years, I'm actually I would say motivated or excited about the future of the Miami Hurricanes. And the reason why is because Miami is now getting recruits that Alabama and Ohio State wants. We're not getting the recruits that Western Kentucky and Eastern Virginia and all these other schools and trucking schools and Bible colleges want. We're getting like real players now at the Miami University of Miami. So shout out to Cristobal. It was the right move. Of course, he's making a ton of money. I'm sure that was probably motivation as well. Cristobal played for the University of Miami Hurricanes, won a couple of national championships, whatever. So I think now, for the first time in 2 decades, it's excitement around the program, and it's good. Like I've said before, it's good to see USC. It's good to see Miami come back up. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, it translates to wins. But shout out to Mario Cristobal. That's it.
Glenn, you go next because I don't want to snake your. I'm pretty sure I know where you're going, and I don't want to step on your toe.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so my shout out. So week or two ago on the show, I was saying how the Raiders had these allegations, and I don't even say allegations. I know that this happened because typically if someone's coming in and saying they're harassed and this happened at the job, I know it did, especially when those executives all of a sudden step down unceremoniously. Yeah, they did that. So now the Raiders, and I told them, do something, man, fix this. It's not what Al Davis is about. And apparently Mark Davis heard me, and they hired their new president, Sandra Douglas Morgan, first Black woman to be to be president of an NFL team. I'm gonna just start by saying if she got to this level, she's sharp, she's qualified, because you're not gonna bring in somebody that's Black or a woman. Let's just start there. So she is uber qualified. She was the Nevada Gaming Control Board chairwoman. She's an attorney, grew up in Las Vegas, member of Jack and Jill, which is cool. AKA shout out to moms and my sisters who are AKAs, but just super sharp to me, a really on point, really just knock it out the park hire. We'll see what she does, but I think it's a fantastic move to be connected to the local community, to be connected to the gaming board and gaming for Las Vegas, to be from Las Vegas. I mean, it's just completely Al Davis got to be smiling down on his son right now. Just a brilliant move. They also hired a new HR VP who's a woman. I can't remember her name, but just smart moves is what it sounds like, and really sounds like so far they're making moves of a competent franchise. So my cautious optimism is turning to optimism, and I'm a little bit scared, but really shout out to the Raiders on that. That's a really fantastic move. So, and congrats to Sandra Douglas Morgan. And that was mine.
Cool. I'll pivot. I first of all, I think that it really is wonderful what the Raiders did. It was a risk worth taking, and congratulations to them for stepping out there. And I wish her nothing but the most success, even if that means that the Raiders have to be successful along with it.
Yeah, her husband played for the Cardinals and the Vikings also. He was a CB.
Cool. Um, anyways, the only thing I want to say is something pretty cool happened this week, and you may or may not have paid attention to it, but we got the first images back from the James Webb telescope. My 5-year-old son is obsessed with space and numbers, and so we were kind of following this a little bit, and it was actually intimidating for him because it's just so much information. And so the James Webb Telescope, for folks who may not have caught on to it, is this telescope that's allowing us to see further and more into space. And they came back with these first pictures of a number of galaxies. One time in the world, they believed that we were the only galaxy, and so we got to a certain point, and that was it. And this gives us a picture of thousands of galaxies that are out there. And to put that into perspective in the bigger scheme of things, if you took one grain of sand and held it at an arm's length into the skyline, that's how much of the entire skyline we're looking at with these pictures. So if there's 1,000 for that one grain of sand out there in the distance, and you go around, it becomes just a fascinating amount of information, and obviously could lead to all types of questions about, are we alone? The answer in my book has always been no. There's just no way you can look at 1,000 galaxies and know that that's just one drop of a behemoth bucket, and think that there's not some other level of intelligent life out there. But some other people, have other different points of views, and that's fine. But it's just a really, really interesting and cool thing that happened. And I would encourage you all to just take a look. It's just kind of neat. And because of my son's new fascination, we've been looking more and more into that kind of stuff, and it's kind of neat. That's it.
Definitely.
That's cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for checking us out. Sports Counterpoints podcast. It's July 13th, 2022. We will catch you next time. Thank you.